Digital Designer Designation, the podcast.
Ready to unlock some serious secrets behind the buzziest tech out there.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking generative AI.
Right.
And trust me, it's way more than just a buzzword.
Yeah.
You've sent over some seriously fascinating stuff.
Yeah.
And together, we're going to cut through all the hype and get to the heart of what makes this technology so game-changing.
I think what's really exciting is how generative AI goes beyond anything we've really seen before.
Right.
You know, it's not just analyzing data.
Yeah.
It's actually creating something entirely new,
Right.
which opens up a whole world of possibilities.
It's like we've given machines a jolt of creativity, Reed.
Mm-hmm.
But before we dive into the how, I think it's important to get clear on what generative AI actually is.
Yeah.
Because you hear AI thrown around everywhere these days.
Absolutely. And you've probably interacted with traditional AI more than you even realize.
Oh, interesting.
Think about, those personalized recommendations you get on Netflix or Spotify. That's AI analyzing your past behavior to predict what you'll enjoy. But generative AI, this is about creation.
So instead of just suggesting a movie based on what you've already watched, generative AI could write the script for an entirely new one.
Exactly. We're talking about machines producing text, composing music, even generating realistic images and videos, all from scratch.
Okay.
It's like having a team of digital artists, writers, and composers all rolled into one.
Okay, now that is seriously cool.
Yeah.
But I have to admit, when I first heard about this, it felt like something out of a sci-fi movie.
Right.
Did this technology just magically appear overnight?
Not quite. You've included some great historical context in your materials.
Okay.
And what's fascinating is how far back the roots of generative AI actually go.
Okay.
The concept of neural networks, which is really the foundation of this technology, dates back to the mid-20th century.
Wow. I had no idea it went back that far.
It's true. Now, those early neural networks were pretty basic.
Right.
Kind of like the first computers compared to the powerful machines we have today.
Oh.
It wasn't until the 1980s, with this breakthrough called backpropagation, that things really started to click.
Backpropagation? That sounds a little intimidating.
Yeah.
Break it down for me.
So imagine you're learning to ride a bike.
Okay.
Each time you wobble or fall, you're getting feedback.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You adjust your balance, you pedal differently, and over time you get better.
Right.
Backpropagation does something very similar for neural networks.
Okay.
It allows them to learn from their mistakes, tweaking their internal parameters until they get closer and closer to that desired outcome.
So it's like giving AI a chance to learn and improve just like we do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And this paved the way for the rise of deep learning in the 21st century.
Okay.
Think bigger networks, more data to learn from.
Right.
And a whole lot more computing power.
Right.
That's when we really started to see the potential of generative AI explode.
And that brings us to the rock stars of the generative AI world.
Right.
Models like GPT and BERT. These are the ones generating that crazy realistic text and holding those human-like conversations, right?
Got it.
Okay.
These models use a revolutionary architecture called transformers.
Okay.
And they've been a complete game changer.
Wow.
Imagine reading a book, right?
Yeah.
And instead of just processing each word individually, you could instantly connect it to every other relevant sentence or paragraph you've ever read.
Wow.
That's the power transformers bring to AI.
Okay.
They can understand context and relationships in a way that was previously impossible.
So it's not just about generating words. It's about generating words that actually make sense together.
Precisely.
Okay.
It's the difference between a chatbot spitting out random sentences and one that can hold a conversation so nuanced and engaging, you might forget you're even talking to a machine.
Okay, that's a little bit mind-blowing, not going to lie. But let's zoom back in for a second.
Okay.
We've talked about neural networks, deep learning, transformers.
Yeah.
It feels like there's a whole lot happening under the hood of generative AI.
There is. And while you don't need a degree in computer science to appreciate it, understanding the different types of generative models out there helps grasp just how versatile this technology is.
Okay.
You've mentioned GANs, VAEs, and of course transformers in your research.
Right.
Each one takes a slightly different approach to the creation process.
Okay, so break it down for me.
Okay.
Let's start with GANs. Okay. What makes them so special?
GANs, or generative adversarial networks, are all about competition.
Okay.
Imagine an art forger.
Okay.
Trying to create a perfect replica of a masterpiece.
Okay.
They have a partner who's an art expert.
Right.
And their job is to spot the fake.
Right.
So it's like this constant back and forth.
Right.
The forger's trying to fool the expert.
Yeah.
The expert is trying to stay one step ahead.
And in a gen, you have two neural networks playing these roles.
Exactly.
Okay.
One is the generator, that's our art forger, creating new data, like images.
Right.
The other is the discriminator, the art expert, trying to determine if the generated data is real or fake.
And because they're constantly challenging each other, they both get better and better.
Yes.
That's pretty clever.
It is.
Okay.
And it leads to incredibly realistic outputs.
Oh.
Think about those AI-generated images you see online that are so realistic.
Right.
It's hard to believe they weren't created by a human.
Yeah.
That's often the work of GANs. And that's just one type of generative model.
Okay.
VAEs, or variational autoencoders, take a different approach.
Okay.
Think about how a master chef can deconstruct a dish, identifying the key ingredients and techniques that give it its unique flavor.
Okay. I'm following so far.
Yeah.
But instead of a delicious meal, we're talking about complex data, right?
You got it. VAEs are like those culinary masters.
Okay.
They take complex data,
Right.
break it down into its essential elements,
Okay.
creating a sort of compressed code.
Right.
Then they can use that code to generate new data
Okay.
that retains the key characteristics of the original, but with these interesting variations.
So instead of just copying the original, it's more like taking inspiration from it to create something new.
Exactly.
Wow.
This makes VAEs particularly useful for generating variations on existing data,
Okay.
like creating new designs based on a set of successful prototypes,
Oh, wow.
or even composing variations on a musical theme.
Okay. I'm starting to see how these different models each have their own strengths.
Yeah.
It's like having a whole toolbox of AI artists, each with their own unique style.
That's a great analogy.
Right.
And it's this diversity that makes generative AI so powerful.
Right.
But what really gets me excited is seeing these models break free from the lab and into the real world.
You're telling me the potential applications seem almost limitless.
Absolutely.
Right.
Remember those AI-powered tools we talked about?
Yeah.
The ones that can turn text descriptions into stunning visuals?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, like Dolly. I might have spent an embarrassing amount of time generating pictures of penguins in tropical hats.
Right.
It's strangely addicting.
So you're already tapping into that creative potential.
Right.
Now imagine the possibilities for professional artists.
Yeah.
Designers, filmmakers
Right.
need a visual representation of a new product.
Yeah.
Just describe it to the AI and boom, you have a starting point.
No more struggling to get that initial idea out of your head and onto paper. Right?
Exactly.
Right.
And it's not just about speed and efficiency.
Right.
Imagine collaborating with AI to visualize concepts that would be impossible to create otherwise.
Wow.
Like abstract art inspired by mathematical equations or surreal dreamscapes.
It's like opening up a whole new dimension of artistic expression.
Yeah.
And I've heard whispers about AI making waves in the music industry too, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
We've already seen AI compose original scores for films and video games.
Wow, really?
Create personalized soundtracks that adapt to your mood. And even help musicians break through creative blocks by offering unexpected melodies or harmonies.
So instead of replacing human musicians, it's more like AI is becoming a new instrument in their arsenal.
That's a great way to put it.
Right.
It's all about pushing the boundaries of what's possible creatively.
Right.
Whether that's in the arts, music, or even, wait for it, the business world.
Okay, now you've got my attention.
Right.
Because when I think of AI business, isn't usually the first thing that comes to mind.
Right.
Yeah.
It might surprise you.
Yeah.
But generative AI is already shaking things up across a wide range of industries.
Interesting.
Take content creation, for example.
So instead of spending hours agonizing over a blog post, I can just get an AI to do it for me.
You could. And that's just the beginning.
Okay.
Imagine businesses using AI to generate high-quality reports,
Okay.
marketing materials, even personalized emails to customers.
Talk about a productivity boost.
Right.
It frees up human writers and marketers to focus on the more strategic and creative aspects of their work.
Exactly.
Wow.
And let's not forget about customer service.
Oh, right.
Those chatbots you encounter on websites.
Right.
Generative AI is making them smarter and more helpful than ever before,
Right.
providing instant support and personalized recommendations.
So no more frustrating conversations with bots that sound like they're reading from a script.
Hopefully not.
Right.
Generative AI allows chatbots to understand the nuances of human language
Okay.
and respond in a way that feels more natural and empathetic.
Okay, I'll admit, it's pretty impressive stuff. It feels like we're on the verge of something huge, doesn't it? Like generative AI is about to change the way we work, create, even interact with technology on like a fundamental level.
It's an exciting time, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
Like with any transformative technology, I think it's important to proceed thoughtfully.
So along with all the excitement, there are some valid concerns about the potential downsides of generative AI.
Absolutely. Think about this.
Okay.
If generative AI can create these personalized marketing campaigns that feel eerily accurate,
right,
could it also be used to manipulate people's opinions or influence their behavior?
That's a bit unnerving, to be honest.
Yeah.
So like that saying, just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Exactly. And that's why it's crucial to have these open conversations about the ethical implications of this technology.
Right.
We need to establish some really clear guidelines and safeguards to ensure that generative AI is used responsibly and ethically.
It's almost like we're writing the rule book for a whole new world.
In a way, we are.
Wow.
And it's not just about preventing these negative outcomes.
Right.
It's about ensuring that everyone benefits from this technology, not just a select few.
That's a really important point, because it's easy to get caught up in all the cool things generative AI can do, but we can't lose sight of the bigger picture here.
Exactly, and that brings us back to you and this deep dive that you've taken into this topic. You've clearly been thinking about these broader implications.
Yeah.
And that's crucial, because the future of generative AI isn't something that will be decided by tech companies or governments alone.
Right.
It's a conversation we all need to be a part of.
So where do we go from here? What can like everyday people like our listener do to make sure that this technology is used for good?
First and foremost, stay informed.
Okay.
The more you understand about generative AI, its capabilities and its limitations, the better equipped you'll be to navigate this new landscape.
Knowledge is power. Right.
Absolutely. And don't be afraid to ask questions.
Right.
Challenge assumptions and voice your concerns.
Yeah.
You know, we're all figuring this out together.
Right.
And your perspective is valuable.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's not about being an expert in AI.
Right.
It's about being an engaged citizen in a world where AI is playing an increasingly important role.
Exactly. And finally, remember that this technology is still in its early stages. The decisions we make today will shape its trajectory for years to come.
Right.
So let's make sure we're shaping it in a direction that benefits everyone.
That's a perfect note to end on. Listener, we've covered a lot of ground today, from the technical nuts and bolts to the mind-blowing possibilities and the ethical considerations that we can't ignore. But most importantly, I hope this deep dive has sparked your curiosity and empowered you to join the conversation about the future of generative AI. Because this technology isn't just changing the world, it's giving each of us a chance to help shape that change.